Alright, it's your boy No Tail Ninja back at it again with another video, and it looks like My Hero is finally coming to its end, or it looks like it's coming to its end. This chapter seems like it's kind of like the final end-all be-all of the series, but I think there's still a little bit more to touch on, and I think there's still a lot more to come, but we'll touch on that after we finish reviewing the chapter. But before we get into it, you guys know the deal. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, especially since it's going to be almost over, and I think I'm just going to do a big over-encompassing chapter review, and hell, maybe I might even review the individual arcs and give my thoughts and feelings. And I'm also going to start reviewing the anime, so keep an eye out for that. That Star and Stripe battle was pretty epic. I'm getting around to watching the whole thing again and creating a nice review for you guys, so stay tuned. But anyway, let's get into talking about today's chapter. So we open up this chapter following the end of last chapter where we saw Aoyama take Deku's hand as they begin to run forward. Now it seems like that is short-lived because immediately it looks like he's letting go of his hand to kind of thrust them forward. As he says, keep running, Midoriya. As Aizawa looks over to Shirakumo to possibly teleport more people, and it looks like he's just out of juice because it almost looks as if he's falling apart, and I wonder if he's dying here or if he's shedding the Kurogiri shell to become Shirakumo again, but he's not looking good right now. As Deku launches into this hellscape of a battlefield as everyone's throwing every attack they can at AFO, but weirdly enough they say, our attacks aren't working, he's strong. Unlike AFO, he's super strong against my illusions. Which means that they don't actually see him as AFO, they still see him as Shigaraki. Which is very interesting because I never thought about that, they would have not known all the stuff that happened inside the Vestige world. And then we actually do see Cementos, and I believe this is a second year student, as Aizawa confirms that I need all of you to open a path that takes us to Shigaraki. Which does confirm that they just see him as Shigaraki, they don't see him as AFO, but you know, neither here nor there. As AFO goes for his big attack again, which you guys are fully aware is the full factor release, where he just basically launches all his quirks at once. But he says that this time it should work because he has a better control of his emotions, unlike last time, which I think I brought up in previous arguments as why he lost that battle, because he was just full of rage and emotions and he was turning back into a teenager, so he couldn't control himself. But anyway, he launches that attack, and weirdly enough, it gets blocked by Hagakure of all people. As, yeah, her powers are to deflect light, but this is such a big attack, I'm actually surprised that it worked. And also, she must have gotten a major quirk power up, because I've never seen anyone deflect an attack like this. So if All For One is like Continental level, yo, just know that Hagakure now scales above Continental level for you power scalers out there. But anyway, we do see Momo and Kaminari, as they've made this massive railgun that they fire right at All For One. But naturally, being the main villain and all, he kind of just deflects it very simply. As we see this kind of black goop start to spread across the battlefield, and I wonder if that's his quirk activation thing. But Deku's pissed and he's like, stop hurting my friends, which I'm gonna just pay a little mind to this panel because it looks like his face is a little scarred up here. Don't know if that's from previous battles or what, but yeah, it looks a little injured. But everyone jumps in front of his way before the attack and breaks apart the tendrils, and say, you're all beat up, but save your strength, you're the only one that can hit him. So they wrap him together and they try to launch him directly at All For One. As Suyu and Shoji try to use their abilities to pull him forward, we actually see the rest of the world again watching the battle, and we actually see Suyu's family watching it, cheering on their big sis. I believe this is the girl that Shoji saved several chapters ago, I cannot remember, but I remember hearing something about that, as watching the battle, and she kind of looks a lot like Ochako, I'm not gonna lie. But they tell Deku that they're not agile enough to dodge such a monster's attack, so they'll just do what they can to get him a little further. As they launch him, as Deku says thank you. And just as he lands, there's another giant tendril coming right for him, but all the heroes will use their powers together to deflect it. As they tell Deku, just do your best and we'll do ours, as all he could do is just keep pushing forward as he tells his friends thank you. As AFO, who's starting to get pissed, is wondering why don't these pesky corpses just die already? They can barely move any more but their eyes, with those pesky eyes. As, you know, Mineta just being useless as always. Good job, buddy. As he flashes back to the moment where him and Deku crossed in the Vestige world for the first time together, as he remembers the words that he told Nana Shimura, he finds himself immobilized, squirming about helpless, watching on. Conferring this power to someone so useless was a mistake. And then that's when it hits him. He gets it now. Why Izuku Midoriya is the way he is. As Izuku Midoriya runs forward with all the help he can get from every hero he can, from Gentle Criminal to Death Arms, they're all telling him to do his best, as All For One is thinking that his weakness is something that All Might lacked, that his strength emerges from his weakness. As we see Tokoyami, who's God knows where, telling Izuku also to do his best, which I don't even know how he knows what's happening, he can't see anything. But All For One continues what he was saying with, this is what makes all of them get back up again and again, as we see Deku's getting launched by Ida as he thrusts him forward, and All For One is like, as long as you keep on moving, they will. And we see that AFO goes to try to launch another attack, but it looks like his quirk is malfunctioning because it's bleeding from that hole he uses to absorb quirks. As we cut to a separate battlefield, as we see that the American heroes weirdly survive because it looked like AFO just straight up destroyed him a few chapters ago. But apparently that they didn't have ejection seats before, but All Might made it so that their jets have ejection seats, which I don't know how they could have made that modification without them knowing, but you know, it is what it is. As he says that the kids wanted a perfect victory, so the fewer losses the better. As the American pilot is like, who are you to say that? As he says, young Midoriya, that day you rushed out and allowed my body to move, and since then I always have been. As we see all the characters from all the various movies cheering on Deku as well, telling him to do his best. We see Melissa Shields and the dude from the World Heroes mission, whose name slipped my mind, but I'll probably throw it up on screen or something. As Ida's telling him to remember their first day at school, as he pushes him forward again. As you see Ochako, as she's apparently being airlifted to the hospital, which I'm going to touch on at the end. And she's telling, the news reporter's telling them that they're almost there, just a little longer. Which, I really think she should be at this battle, but I think she will show up, but I'm going to talk about that later. And she's also telling Deku to do his best, as he begins to launch forward, and everyone's cheering him on, even Shoto. As, weirdly enough, the American heroes are finally just like, send every hero we can to Japan, which, hella late, my guy. But yeah, they're advising against it, but he's like, I don't care, just send everyone here that they can there. Which maybe we might see the vigilante heroes, like I said before, which I'm going to put on my checklist, because I believe I said the American heroes will join, alright? This ending's becoming hella predictable. As we see every single person that Deku has impacted, telling him to do his best, as we get this beautiful collage of every single person, and we see All Might saying, the greatest hero to me. As we see Izuku's mother telling him also to do his best, as Deku launches a massive attack at AFO, connecting directly as the chapter comes to an end. Which again, another solid chapter. This was pretty solid, and I can't wait to see this adapted into the anime, especially now that we're in the final season of the anime. But something tells me they're gonna take a break, but anyway. But overall, I still want to just give this like an 8 out of 10. This is still pretty good, but again, not much happened for me to really like rate it any higher. And I do think that this is going to be kind of like underwhelming if this is like the final sequence of the series. I think there's still a lot more left to be touched, but I don't know how I feel about this. But the emotion and then the chapter writing, it is great, but like the overall picture is a little muddy when I look back. And I think I might touch on that in subsequent videos, but overall, I'm just kind of rating this on a chapter-to-chapter basis, but don't let my high ratings mean that I think overall that the, like, war has been amazing. It's had its ups and downs, but I'm just waiting for it to be over so I could, like, do a full encompassing video talking about the ups and downs. But anyway, I do think that this isn't going to be the finale yet, despite that it seems like it, and it kind of gives that vibe. I think that we still need to kind of get to the bottom of AFO and Yuichi's relationship, and just a little bit. I think that they should just see each other at least face to face and have like a conversation at the end. It would be kind of lackluster if they didn't. And I do think Ochako is going to come back into the picture, because this infamous picture that Horikoshi drew like forever ago, because he did like some art expose, and a lot of these pictures have come true. It just was kind of vague. But seeing the markings on her side as well as Deku's arm, and especially since this is the same arm he just punched All For One with, I think that this is actually going to be the final shot of the series, or at least of this war arc. I think that this was just heavily foreshadowed, and shame on you for spoiling this for us, Horikoshi, if this is true. And I do think if this ends here, it would kind of suck, because it's like, what was the whole point of the whole Shimura Tenko and sacrificing all the quirks and everything? I mean, I guess you can kind of paint that narrative of like, every little sacrifice gains an inch, and it's all that matters. But in the grand scheme of things, was that really like, the theme you want to sell here? Because like everyone sacrificed himself to stop AFO's fusion with Shigaraki, and it happened anyway. So I don't know. I think that would be kind of lackluster, and I do think those things need to get tackled. They can't just get brushed under the rug because they're rushing to the ending. But overall, though, still have a positive reception on the manga. Don't let my little criticisms, tell you otherwise. And I do look forward to seeing next chapter. Like, that will really definitively tell how I feel about this going forward. If it feels like it's almost over, I will probably be in a little bit of like denial for a little bit that this is over. This is finally over. But I would be a little bit relieved, because then I could just like focus on working on my theory videos like I was doing before, and working on some other stuff and talking about other animes, because this has taken up so much of my time for a week. But I love all the appreciation y'all been showing me on these videos. And the last thing I want to add is I really hope we get to see the American heroes and maybe get to see Deku's dad. I know for most people, like for me, it doesn't really matter. I think for most people, it's just kind of like oh, was he the president the whole time, or was he even Koichi, maybe? But yeah, I think it would be very interesting to see the American heroes. I just hope they actually get into the fight and can do something. They're not just here for like the final shot to be like, hey, they met up with the vigilante heroes. I think that would be kind of lame. But I don't know, that's all I really have to say for now. Hopefully you guys like this video and y'all keep showing your appreciation. I got some more stuff in the works. I'm trying to work stuff out in the background. That way I could just have a catalog of stuff ready for you guys. But life and work has been kind of crazy. But anyway, that's all I have to say for now. Stay safe, my ninjas, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.